Recently, a lot of people in the My Hero Academia community have been going pretty crazy over the news that Toho Animation is currently working on a new series in this universe. The info was casually released in Licensed Global magazine with the exact quote saying that they have plans for a new animated series, retail campaigns, and mobile games. This wording led people to theorize that a Vigilantes spin-off anime is finally on the cards, given it already has a pre-existing manga that ties directly into the main timeline, especially for season 5. However, I just gotta say that it's possible Licensed Global are just referring to My Hero Season 5, and whoever wrote this, they just used words that happen to imply a spin-off might be happening. One way or another, we will be finding out next year in 2021, but today I thought I'd give my take on what I prefer to see if this news about a new series is legit. I don't know if anyone at Toho watches my videos, but I think I speak for a decent section of the fans when I say that I would prefer a true All Might prequel above almost anything else. Let's think about this for a second. There are some seriously interesting mysteries about this character that are yet to be explored. For example, All Might referred to his master Nana Shimura as, he thought of her as his own mother, which has a ton of implications. What was his real mother like? Did he even know her? I feel like if his real mom was in his life, he probably wouldn't say something like this about Nana Shimura, unless of course his real mother hated him, but who could hate All Might? I think it's possible that, like many protagonists, his parents died when he was young and he may have been raised in less than ideal conditions. If I'm correct about that, then it might partially explain his desire for there to be a pillar in society that people can look up to in hope. We know that he was born quirkless, which was a rare thing even back then, meaning that in the eyes of other children, he was likely a prime candidate for bullying. That's just the way kids are. Like, if you're different in a negative way, they will most likely try and pick on you in some way. Perhaps he suffered abuse in a similar way to Deku, although instead of going home to a loving mother like Inko Midoriya, All Might had no one to support him and also no one to look up to. Anyway, I had a list of 4 additional things that should be touched on if they decide to do a prequel series, and let me know if I've missed anything that you would like to see if this does happen. To start with, I think it would be a great opportunity for us to learn about the history of UA, for example, who founded it and how it rose to be the most respected hero school in Japan. The creation of UA would obviously be before All Might's time, he's not that old, but I think it's something that could still be touched upon in any prequel series. As pure speculation, I would imagine that UA was founded by a former vigilante, as we know that before licensed pro heroes became a thing, random vigilantes would just suit up in costumes and pretend to be heroes. This makes them the most experienced when it comes to actually teaching kids how to be pros. Furthermore, we'd get to see the other types of heroes that attended UA at the same time as the symbol of peace, perhaps maybe some that we have encountered during our time in the series. Personally, I would imagine that this samurai hero who ranked number 9 on the charts, he's quite old, so maybe he was even a teacher at UA when All Might was there, in the same way that Gran Torino was. I reckon they're roughly the same age. But yeah, I think it would also be good just to see All Might's classmates and where they are now. Are they heroes in Japan still, or are they across the world? This would be a really interesting thing to touch on. Secondly, a prequel is a great chance to show off new and original quirks possessed by All For One that we've never seen before. In the words of Gran Torino, AFO's abilities in Kamino were completely different from when they faced him 6 years earlier. So could you imagine how much more different they would be during All Might's young years when he was in high school? Overhaul said that All For One stole quirks to gain power, and a really effective way of doing that is stealing the quirks of established professional heroes. Not only would the quirks themselves be really great, but obviously other heroes would be afraid to oppose All For One for fear of losing their own powers. So yeah, we would definitely need more focus on All For One because, when we look at the main series, being real, it's a story about Deku and Shigaraki. All Might and AFO were well past their prime, as soon as we met them really. So it would be good to have a series where we see AFO at his top and All Might on his way to the top. Thirdly, I want to know about any great heroes during this era that maybe All Might took inspiration from, even if only a little bit. It goes without saying that Nana Shimura and Gran Torino had profound impacts on him, but what about the hero known as Brave? Back in the Cultural Festival, Gentle Criminal mentioned how All Might, Crimson Riot, and Brave were heroes that left their shining mark on history. However, unlike the rest, Brave is a totally unknown entity. We have no idea what he or she might look like, but perhaps Brave could have more prominence in the prequel series, whether they be a retired hero or an ex-vigilante. There's also actually a hero called Mr. Brave in the main story who can shapeshift his hair into various tools, so perhaps he was inspired by the real Brave in much the same way that Red Riot was inspired by Crimson Riot and Deku is inspired by All Might. But yeah, the point is, a new prequel series could offer more insight into iconic Japanese heroes that maybe we just don't have time to learn about in the main series. Finally, any All Might prequel would have to show us how he motivated and changed the path of other people around him. This is something that Deku has achieved numerous times with the likes of Todoroki, Kota, Tenya, Bakugo, Ochako, and probably some other people that I didn't mention. In one way or another, each of the characters I mentioned have either aspired to be better or have had their view of the world changed directly because of Deku's presence. Similarly, a young All Might would definitely have an effect on the people around him with his natural charisma, his charm, and just his talent. Sir Nighteye said that both Deku and All Might have the same fire and drive inside them, so I'd love to see how All Might went around like winning the hearts and minds of people, even as a young kid. If this news about Toho creating a new series is legit, then I imagine how many series it would be, because if it was only one season and it was this All Might prequel idea, then I think it should span from All Might's younger days to his UA days, and then include the death of Nana Shimura and flash forward to his fight with All For One that occurred 6 years before the main series. That would wrap up the timeline very nicely and give us pretty much everything we need to know going into My Hero Academia. Also, it's just nice to sometimes watch things in chronological order, like Star Wars, I guess you could say. Regardless of whether it happens or not, I feel like All Might's time in America will 100% become its own movie one day, and I have a few reasons for thinking this, but they're partially based on comments from Horikoshi that he wasn't really sure of a way to top Heroes Rising, because, you know, in the first movie he had All Might and Deku working together, then in the second movie he has Bakugo and Deku working together, so it's like, what do you do for the next one? And in my opinion, it would just be good to almost change the cast completely, but still have it with characters that we're familiar with. So an All Might prequel, if they're going to do more movies, I think it will have to come eventually. Anyway, those are my thoughts on what I'd like to see from an All Might prequel, and I hope this licensed global thing is what we think it is, because I'd love to see any spin-off series, to be honest, but you know my preferred option, but I would love to see any spin-off. Let me know what you guys think down below. Would you rather have a Vigilante spin-off or an All Might spin-off or something else? Remember to subscribe if you want more videos like this, and until the next one, peace out.